This is a no-no topic that no one really talks about and would never use in the same sentence as superpower. Not knowing, not having a plan, not having the answer, not being in control. Uncertainty. And I know, just hearing the word probably makes you squirm because you've been taught your whole life that uncertainty is the enemy. That you need a 5-year plan, for example. That you need to know where you're going, to study, what you're building, what is going to look like, what is going to look like when you get there, not the least. But what if that's exactly the thing that's keeping you stuck? So here's today's topic about something I had to learn the hard way, like many things. And honestly, something I'm still practicing. Because it didn't come naturally to me, not at all. I used to be obsessed with outcomes, with solving things, with knowing. And the moment something felt unclear, I'd pour energy into figuring it out. Immediately. Right now, no space, no breath, just fix it, resolve it, move, be active. And it was exhausting and it didn't work, of course. So let me share my perspective on this and what finally changed things for me. This is the shitty truth that you have to own. There is nothing in life that is certain, not one single thing. And yet, we spend an enormous amount of energy pretending otherwise. We try to control the outcomes. We try to engineer success. We make plans for the future, and then we live there, mentally, emotionally, instead of living here. And that's where it gets dangerous, because when you're constantly projecting into the future, trying to shape it, trying to force it, trying to fill a specific outcome into existence, you're not here. You're not even present. You're missing what's actually in front of you right now. The real information, the real opportunities, the real life in itself. And your nervous system, it knows. It feels the gap between where you are and where you're trying to be. And it stays in a constant state of low-level stress. Always anticipating, always pushing, always trying to solve something that hasn't even happened yet. That's not ambition. That's anxiety wearing ambitious clothes. This is the thing about that took me the longest to actually believe, not just understand intellectually. Nothing needs to be solved immediately. I know that might sound passive, like you're just giving up or letting things slide, but that's not what it means at all. What it means is when you give a problem space, when you let it breathe, when you stop white-knuckling it, something remarkable happens. Ideas surfaces that you never would have reached by forcing it. Information comes to you. A conversation happens. A connection forms. Something clicks that you would have completely missed if you'd been too busy trying to control an outcome. The answer was always going to arrive. You just have to stop blocking it. Putting force into solving something for the future never really works. Not in the deep, creative, sustainable way you actually want. Because real solutions don't come from pressure. They come from presence. And this brings me to something personal. I travel a lot, and I mean a lot. And for a long time, I noticed something. Some of my biggest breakthroughs, my clearest thinking, my best ideas, they come when I was moving. When I was in a new place without a fixed plan, just open. And at the receiving end, open to all possibilities. Also not having the burden of my surroundings' expectations of me. And at first, that scared me because I'm not someone who naturally embraces the unknown. I used to overplan trips. I used to overplan everything because somewhere in me there was this belief that if I could just structure it enough, I could guarantee a great outcome. So far from the truth, just missing out. When I didn't plan, when I moved through uncertainty on purpose, that's when the magic happened. Accidental conversations, unexpected turns, moments that cracked something open in me that no initiatory could have scheduled. So I started doing it on purpose, not planning, going with uncertainty and playing it out as I went along, letting the trip and the information reveal itself. And then I started doing the same thing in business, in relationship, in all of it, not controlling, not trying to figure everything out in advance, just going with the flow and watching what arises. And it changed absolutely everything for me. I want this today. I want this for you too as well. So now I want to name the real discomfort here, because I think transparency is the key. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Let's not pretend otherwise. It's uncomfortable because uncertainty doesn't hold any information. You're living in a vacuum, and a vacuum is probably the worst place a human being wants to be. Because you can't see the next step. You can't validate your decisions. You don't know if it's going to work out. And that is generally hard, whether it's in your business, your relationship, a creative project. Not knowing feels like standing on the edge of something with no ground beneath you. The fact that I believe is that vacuum is not empty. It only feels empty. That space, that not knowing is actually where possibility lives. It's where you're most open, most receptive, most creative, because you haven't filled it yet with your assumptions, your fears, your predetermined outcomes. The vacuum is the beginning. I want to offer you a reframe. What if uncertainty isn't something to survive? What if it's actually a tool? Because when I stopped running from uncertainty and started using it intentionally, it became the most powerful thing in my toolkit. When you're uncertain, you're open-minded. You're willing to look at something from an angle you'd never consider if you thought you already knew the answer. When you're uncertain, you welcome diversity of ideas, of perspectives, of people, because you're not locked into a fixed vision of how things should go. When you're uncertain, you're present, fully present, because there's nowhere else to be. And that creativity, that openness, that aliveness, you cannot access that from a place of rigid control. I've tried. It doesn't work. Stagnation lives in certainty. Growth lives in uncertainty. So what does this actually look like in practice? Because I don't want this to be just a nice idea you agree with and then forget by tomorrow. Start small. The next time you feel that pull, that urgency to resolve something right now, to figure it out, to know, just pause, breathe, and ask yourself, does this actually need solving today? Most of the time, the answer is no. Let it linger. Give it space. Trust that you don't need to force the answers, and see what surfaces when you stop trying to. Second, the next time you're planning something, a project, a trip, a conversation, try leaving deliberately gaps. Unscheduled space, room for something unexpected to arrive, and notice what shows up in those gaps. And third, and this is the one that changed things most for me, start to associate uncertainty with excitement, not threat. Not, I don't know, that's dangerous, but I don't know, and that means anything is possible. Because it does. I'm not telling you to throw away your goals or stop caring about outcomes. I'm telling you that the white knuckle grip you have on how things are supposed to go, that's costing you more than you think. The life that's waiting for you in the uncertainty, it's better than the one you've been trying to plan. Trust the not knowing. Give it space. Move through it with curiosity instead of fear. Because uncertainty isn't the absence of a path. It's the beginning of one you couldn't have designed yourself. And honestly, those are always the best ones. So I'll see you in the next one. I'm here every single week with new topics.